Hello there fellow NPCs, I am Scythe and today we're going to continue to play The Ladder. So we are getting closer and closer to the event where I think everyone is having a little bit of insight to what's going on with this ghost at the Ermengarde mansion. In just a few days, let's see if we can find it in the journal actually. When is the housewarming party? Is it here? Yes, it is tomorrow. Tomorrow is the housewarming party. And so far everyone's been having some kind of thing going on there with the ghost. We know for example that Hannah Wright saw the ghost right over Rebecca Gale's shoulder. So what is Rebecca going to see during the housewarming party? Maybe we'll find that out in today's episode. Maybe we'll see it in soon enough. But regardless, it is from now on it's going to pick up. We're going to meet Ashton right now and see what he has to say about all things. So let's go. His car's headlight have been left turned on, illuminating the otherwise empty parking lot. If it's like that, this is probably going to be a quick visit. Although our landlady would probably have a few hundred words to say about this before letting it go. Not many in this complex own a vehicle. Anyway, to warrant the space frequent use owing to this area's proximity to downtown Luxburn. No one's going to be disturbed if one car stays parked with its light on for a few minutes. Right now though, it serves as a pleasant company, while I idle inside my own car, thumbing the invitation's fine print, flipping it over and over until the motions become familiar enough. What should I say? How should I say it? There's a very high chance he'll say no, but on the off chance he accepts, what should I do? Fears. Doubts. Questions I haven't asked before, and more often than not, the anxiety is because of him. 17 years ago, I've been in the same position, a different letter in hand. Somehow nothing has changed. Perhaps if I'd noticed how I've always felt about him years ago, I wouldn't be in this predicament. Well, you can't blame on the other party to notice how you feel. If you don't tell someone how you're feeling, that's on you as well. You know, I've been in situations like this before, and honestly, we can't just assume that people want us, and a lot of us are really poor at reading social cues. So just be up and frank to people about it. Hey, I would like to go with this with you, and yeah, it is scary. But the other thing, if you don't do it, two things might happen. You might get angry with the other person for not noticing you, and two, they will go out with someone else. So take the chance. That's really all there is. Honestly, he managed to ace all those exams at school without even lifting a finger, and he couldn't figure this out.
How dense can he get?
But I can't very well wait for another 2 decades just for someone as measly as an invitation, can I? It's not like it's going to be a date. Although frankly, I wouldn't mind if it is. However, that's a wish best reserved for some other time. I won't get anywhere if I just keep thinking about the what ifs. Gathering all of my thoughts and courage, I step out of my car and gingerly make my way upstairs, invitation in hand. Ever since the incident 3 days ago, there's a strange air permeating the atmosphere here. Weighted, but the sort that slowly trickles through you, until the burden where it finally bogs you down with some kind of disquiet. The days since have been uneasy, and Isabella's absence from her flat does not help settle it. Every day, coming home somewhat feels like an uphill battle in itself, leaving you spent when you're supposed to be getting some rest. Is Zachary experiencing the same thing? I certainly am. The same weary slump is also on Ashton's shoulders, once I catch a glimpse of him. He's leaning casually on the rails, his back against its metal surface, while reading through a bunch of papers. Forensic report, case number 33608. Each one appears more important than the other, despite me having never read a letter of it. He'll probably head back to the precinct after this, if he's not going to drop by Zachary's for a bit of shut-eye. No rest for the wicked. But no matter how occupied he seems, he pauses anyway and looks up from his work the moment he hears my treads. He raises a hand in gesture as a small smile spreads across his lips. Exhausted as I am, I can't help but return it to him.
What brought you here?
He hums something inaudible, neither an answer nor even a vague hint, before he turns his attention back to the papers. For a passing second, I thought he'd ignore or evade the question, like every single time I've asked. But then he shuffles the documents back to a binder and sets it aside with a huff. It sounds more fatigued than I've ever heard from him recently. Either there's simply too many things keeping him busy at once, or his investigation isn't going too well. Maybe even both.
Just work.
Just work? Do you expect me to believe that?
In a way. I didn't think an important contact ditched me and now I'm stuck would make for a cool alibi. Did it work?
As if there's going to be any difference. You're still a dafty.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to come in? But if you're going to hang around for a bit, you better turn those headlights off. My landlady's one hairline away from banning you off this place, you know?
Yeah, why would you leave the headlights on, honestly? That's just weird.
Stop taking the piss out of her. She's a nice woman.
When she stops taking the piss out of Shirley, maybe I will.
Don't name your car Shirley.
You and your bloody car.
I do remember they talking about that before, though. The first time I ever heard of the name, I did a double take. From the way he put it, it was as if he was talking about some woman he met somewhere, surprisingly got along with and grown fond of. Never mind how impossible that is, knowing his lack of interest for people outside of our small circle. Honestly, it sent a surge of panic in me. It lasted for days, until he proudly introduced me to his new car. His car.
Hey, it's a nice name. Don't laugh at it. You'll hurt her feelings. I'm gonna have to give that offer a pass, though.
Nothing unexpected, but admittedly, I'm hoping he'll stay for a few minutes. Suddenly, asking him to accompany me to some housewarming party is starting to turn into a bad idea. If he can't even be bothered to spare a second of his time to his friends, what more if he has to stand some hours in a room full of strangers?
I need to get going. I just dropped in to check on something and...
His words trail off, cut mid-sentence on purpose, leaving it for me to comprehend the rest of it. At the same time, his eyes shift momentarily toward the door closest to us. Isabella's unit. Eerily quiet now in her absence. The instant his lips curve into a small frown and his shoulders tense, I know work is far from his reasons for being here. Being all too aware of that idea alone summons another dull ache straight into my chest. Like every time, every single moment, he affords her the attention he can never seem to spare others. While it is a worry better left for the different situation, it twinges the heart, nevertheless.
Is there a problem?
Nothing of note. Abigail just wanted to ask her a few things.
Abigail wants to ask who? What?
It's related to that incident with Cooper. You heard the one.
Okay, gotcha.
Hold on. She isn't in trouble, is she?
No, I don't think so. Not as far as I know. And do you really think Scaredy Cat can do anything like that? It's just an off-the-record thing, okay?
Off the record?
Abigail wanted to confirm something. She knows I'm friends with someone working at BRC, so she asked me. Apparently she isn't getting anything from that company, as long as the red tape's in the way. It's nothing urgent, though. She isn't answering her phone again, so I thought I'd check myself. I can wait until she gets home.
Where was... No, we never got to see this part of Isabella's story. This is... Oh crap, right, she said she would take care of this. Oh shit, she's doing stuff in the background that no one sees. Shit.
If she comes home soon. The last time I saw her was 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago, on the 25th. What did happen then? Isabella was here. Coming Zachary received a phone call from Ashton. Pills, yeah, so we met Isabella here. Isabella was cooking this. Rebecca found Isabella going through several papers, yeah. So, Isabella is no longer in the story. We can't play as her anymore. When was the last time? Isabella Santos Jr. Yeah, here. On the 24th. Okay. Damn. His demeanor immediately changes. Despite his careful attempt to appear nonchalant, his eyes scream of an unspoken worry. It's almost painful to see how much he tries to hide it, especially in front of someone he has known for years.
What? Did she take a vacation or something?
No word from her, unfortunately. And I don't think she'll go on a trip without telling us. It's been 2 days. 3 if she's not going to show up tomorrow either. Do you think we might have to file a missing person report?
I hope not. But let me know if anything happens. You know how to contact me. I'll see you later, Becca.
Ashton squeezes my shoulder, light as he can, before stepping away and heading straight for the stairs. His way of offering comfort in the middle of this little mess we found ourselves in. But amidst all of this, a tiny voice at the back of my mind nudges at a memory. Something I've forgotten and the very reason why I've chosen to return home early. He's made it to 4 steps down when realization kicks in and awareness of the envelope I've been holding returns to me. Panic rears before proper words can form, or I can think about the situation. Not a second sooner, I'm calling after him.
Ashton, wait!
He halts, 1 foot already down another step, when he turns to me, raising an eyebrow in question.
Yeah?
And of all times, it is in this moment when I falter. The adrenaline from my earlier panic suddenly recedes. All of a sudden, none of the things I have prepared to say will take form, and I'm caught between simply forgetting about this or just blurting it out to him while hoping for the best. Should I even? Tomorrow? Yeah, but he was... Okay, so he's going to show up at the housewarming party regardless, but how does he show up there without us? Whose date is he then? Tomorrow afternoon, do you have time? There's nothing wrong with trying, I suppose. And relationship? Increase on Ashton. Good for you. Someone likes you. That's the first. I'm not going to lose anything if he says no. Which frankly has a very high chance of happening than the opposite. Though the thought still doesn't prevent heat from crawling up my face and send my heart racing. It's better to get this over with before my throat closes up and I lose my nerve.
Tomorrow afternoon? Do you have time?
1 step closer. A small frown is already on his face. I already see where this is going and what he's thinking from that alone. Yet, for some malicious reason, I continue, hanging on to that tiny glimmer of hope he'll say yes, if I present an argument good enough for him.
That depends. Why?
Well, you see, someone sent an invite for a housewarming party, and I thought you might want to...
Rebecca, I'd rather stand on the messy end of a gunshot. You know that.
Wow, that's harsh.
I know, it's just... You're one of the few people I can count on with things like this.
That's cool, I appreciate the thought. But really, Zach's a better companion. Gatherings like that just aren't my cup of tea.
But you are going to show up. So you're doing it for police work then, I'm assuming?
It did cross my mind, you know. If he isn't busy with his freelance work, I'd probably ask him too. Actually, you two would have been spared if Isabella was here, but...
Why not just skip out on it? The world's not going to end if one guest doesn't show up.
Trust me, I'd love to. But I promised Mom I'll be there.
Still can't say no, huh?
Like you're any better. Besides, the person who sent this is an old friend of Mom and Dad. If it's important to them, why not? Though, who would have thought, huh? The famous Evans heir used to be tutored by my parents. Apparently, we also met before.
Wait, who?
Here we go, now he's coming with you.
Evans. Hannah Evans. Well, she's already married. She goes by Hannah Wright now. Remember the couple who bought the mansion Isabella's selling?
The same people?
As far as I know. Unless I misread their address, or there's another Hannah Wright in this city that we don't know about.
Let me see that.
Without waiting, he walks closer and takes the invitation off my hands, gently but with the same force of urgency in his voice. I don't know what he finds in it, but his eyebrows draw together as his eyes scan through the little lines of text printed on a small piece of paper. His hold on the envelope tightens with each pass, and by the time he has finished reading, his mouth has formed up into a thin line.
You never mentioned this.
Why would we?
We met just once. Or at least, that's what Mum told me. Honestly, I can't recall anything from it. Otherwise, I would have told you about it.
He hums something inaudible under his breath, all while thumbing the paper, staring at it as if doing so will proffer him. What the hell does proffer mean? Proffer him answers to every unspoken question in his head. When he gleans nothing from it, he merely folds the envelope back to its form.
Alright, I'll go with you.
What?
I'll go with you. That shouldn't be a problem, right? Unless you've already made up your mind about asking Z-Man.
And you call him Seaman still. It's better than Seaman, I guess.
No, I told you already the guy's busy. Why would I bother him for this when I can go alone? But what about your own work and...
I can make time for this. 3 o'clock, yeah? I'll pick you up an hour or so before.
There we go. My head reels. Less from what this implies, more from how easy it all seems for him. How fast this turnaround is. What does the journal say now? Yeah, this pretty much what Ashton is all about. What did you say? Yeah, sure, why not? Luke and Kylie asked Rebecca out for dinner as she was about to leave, but the latter chose to meet with Ashton instead. At Sillenwell, after a brief talk with Ashton about Isabella, Rebecca invited him to their housewarming party. Despite his qualms, Ashton agreed in the end. He's already halfway down the stairs when any semblance of sense returns to me, and I can finally string 2 words of protest together. Yet, all of it dies on my tongue at the small smile he shoots me. He disappears from view seconds later. His footsteps gradually fading as he descends the stairwell, until all I can hear are my own shallow breaths and heartbeat, loud, pounding hard against my chest. It is only after I'm standing alone in my room, minutes later, that it sinks in. He has taken the invitation with him, but besides that, more than that, he has also accepted mine. Calling this happiness is a complete understatement. For now, looming thoughts of the mansion and the woman lay silent at the back of my head. October 28th, Friday. The night wears on without further incident, despite the great number of thoughts swimming inside my head. Come morning, there's only a hush, a strange sort of stillness unlike the ones greeting me every morn. This was uneasy, tight with anticipation. Like a string stretched thin, merely waiting for the proper time to snap. Granted, it doesn't make my day any less pleasant, but the edge is there. And as expected, the second I step out of my flat, it comes apart, broken by the voices of two squabbling adults echoing from the floor below. The quiet was nice while it lasted. Shame.
What the hell were you thinking?
That's Ashton.
I wasn't.
That's Isabella.
Ow! Could you let go?
Yeah. Not a few seconds later, they both ascend the stairs, with Ashton pulling Isabella by her wrist. She struggles, as she should, but his hold on her remains firm. Freeing herself means having to draw blood, as she attempts to pry his hands off with her other one, or using unnecessary force to push herself away. So this is right after they've been eating with Zack, or rather did not eat. They could have eaten, but they didn't. Neither of which is better than the other. One could potentially end in an accident, while the other means having to hurt him physically. She has the good sense to realize that, at least. However, it doesn't take the desperate edge in her voice when she answers Ashton's temper with her own. So on they go, none the wiser to my presence.
You have any idea how much trouble you could get in?
Ooh, she's been doing some investigating.
That's why I'm asking you for help.
Is this what you've been doing these past 3 days? Because this doesn't make your case convincing, Isabella.
Rose died, Ash.
I know. Every single person in Luxburg knows. It's on the damn news. But that doesn't mean...
People are missing. Some of those are my friends. And BRC's just covering it all up.
BRC is actually doing a cover-up.
You can't just barge into my office and expect me to do anything about it, right off the bat.
Okay, that never happened. As far as I know, it will happen in Ashton's chapter, of course.
This isn't a children's game, Isabella. We have procedures. We have to follow protocol. There's red tape all over this case for a reason. We sure as hell don't investigate things just because some stupid letter spooked us.
Ash, you have to believe me this time. If we don't do anything right now, more people will...
It's been a whole week. This stupid letter prank is getting old real fast. I'm sick of it. It was funny the first time, not so much now.
You're the only one that can help me with this, Ash. Even Rebecca won't. All right, you two are awfully loud. What's going on here?
Mama Becca is showing up and starting to teach her lessons. Both of their heads snap out almost in unison. A displeased frown is on each of their faces, but this is a necessary interruption. What can they do? People still in their units have already taken interest in the commotion, with some taking a peek behind the curtains, while others are bold enough to creak open the doors, if only slightly. If they don't keep it down, pretty soon our landlady will show up. Getting a reprimand from her is the last thing I want to happen, first thing on a Friday morning, even if this is hardly my fault.
Well, if you want to continue this, you two better do it elsewhere. You're disturbing other people.
Don't worry, we're done here.
No, we aren't. Becca, I looked it up. I called them. I visited some of them and...
Which you shouldn't have done in the first place. Isabella, you're going to create more problems for us with what you're doing. A team has already been assigned to it. Leave it to us.
Ooh, so the police knows about the disappearances as well.
Your precious team is looking at it the wrong way. Becca, it's not just Rose. There are others.
The last bit strikes a chord, prods strongly at a memory, and a vicious smile already etched deeply inside my mind. The image appears clear enough that, at the mere mention of it, I stumble on my own question.
What do you mean? The letter, Rebecca! It's not...
It's nothing. If there's really something going on because of that dumb letter, none of us would be standing here. We've all read it, haven't we?
And we've all seen something.
But Rebecca's alive, Zack's alive, I'm alive. So for the last time, this isn't a curse.
Is Zack alive? Oh yeah, it is, because we haven't been to the housewarming party yet. Yes.
There's a murderer on the loose, and your co-workers happen to be the victims. Give it a rest, Isabella. It's too early for this shit.
Don't you think that's too much for a coincidence?
Not so much. Most serial killers follow a pattern. I'll tell you about it some other time. And anyway, coincidence or not, the point is, civilians like you aren't supposed to get involved. You're putting yourself in danger.
I wasn't chasing after.
Will the both of you slow down and stop arguing for a minute? What's this about your coworkers, Belle?
Becca, please don't tell me now you believe this shit.
Sure, in a heartbeat I'll agree with Ashton. That's how it's always been, besides having a very good point. Really, they're the very same ones he'll make every time I ask too many questions. But the fact of the matter is, what he wants to hear from me right now is far from what I've been seeing, sensing these past few days. It doesn't matter what Isabella or I believe on our own. Something odd has been happening around me, and that letter she picked up is at the heart of this. It's at the heart of this. But, however I respond to the question in their faces, only one of them will be pleased with it. Well, you shouldn't be doing these things. I might have seen her. Yes! Fucking go! Yeah! Ashton goes down, Bella goes up. Bella goes up, Ashton goes down. Yeah. He's hard to please. Ashton in particular won't be too happy to hear it. Imagining the look in his face doesn't take too much effort. His entire posture shifts the moment my reluctance shows. Shoulders tensing, brows furrowing, eyes gaining a sharp edge. He's already bracing himself from the disappointment. And it will be a disappointment. Not in a million years did I ever believe I'll be saying this either.
I might have seen her. The woman Belle's been telling us about. The one she said she saw in the attic.
Finally making some fucking progress here! About time. Both of them stare at me like I've grown an extra head, and for a few moments, Ashton looks as if he's about to have a fit. A pause treads as it heals over. A silence thick enough, one can almost hear a pin drop.
You're kidding, right?
Do I look like I'm joking?
Really, Becca? Not funny.
Ash, I'm not lying. Why would I lie about this? It's been this way since the film fest. The past few days have been really odd since we read that letter. Last night, you mentioned Zach hasn't been acting like himself. Maybe you should ask him, too.
Or maybe you're all just feeling under the weather.
I'm not sick. Don't you think I'd know that by now?
Becca, you're starting to sound like Scaredy Cat. Give me a break.
Why don't you?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, you two.
Isabella's voice cuts sharply through the conversation, abruptly putting an end to the brewing argument.
It's all my fault. This is all my fault. I was only hoping I could fix this before any of you. I'm sorry for dragging you all into this.
She breathes in, deep, steadying, and in that moment something falls behind her eyes as she looks away.
I'll fix this. I promise.
How do you plan on fixing this? A quiet resolve. The same one I saw in her that night from 3 days ago. But this time it burns brighter. Even Ashton wavers at its sight. When she looks him straight into the eyes, gaze unflinching. Gradually, his grip on her wrist loosens.
Belle, there's nothing to fix. The problem is...
Just this once, Ash.
Her voice, though small and lacking any force, stops him. Along with it, every sound, every noise dies around us. A hush descending as if the world is waiting for her words.
You don't have to come with me. But if I don't do anything, I am going to regret it.
She lays a hand on top of his. Gentle. Pleading. Almost intimate, if one does not consider the circumstances we've found ourselves in.
Please.
Ashton will never tell a soul, will never admit it to himself. But it is in that short second that his own resolve breaks. The moment the hard edge on his eyes softens, and he relinquishes his hold on her, letting his hand fall limply to his side. Wordlessly, Isabella steps back and runs, leaving only a muttered thanks and a small, lackluster smile. Only after the last of her footsteps fade away does Ashton move, breaking the silence with one of his sharp exhales before reaching up to pinch the bridge of his nose in a gesture of frustration and surrender.
Did you really have to tell her that?
What do you want to hear from me then? That everything's fine?
No, I want all of you to stop putting these ideas in her head. None of it is helping. Never mind. Don't worry about her. I'll bring her back here.
You are really annoying. Why are you all friends? He's really poised to leave when my own instincts takes over. I reach for him, gripping his elbow with the same unyielding grip, the action prompted by his voices whispering at the back of my mind. He's already made it clear he's not going to believe me, but he deserves a word of caution. Who knows where all of this will take us? How all of this will end? He shouldn't be caught off guard, beliefs notwithstanding.
Ash, I know you don't believe in those things she's saying. And you know me. I'm less inclined to believe in those things as you do. But I've seen something. There's something strange going on here. You don't have to buy it. If you don't want to listen to me, fine. But please, try to hear her out. It's bad enough that Isabella goes off like this without telling anyone. I'm just worried something might happen to her if she keeps at it.
And now that everything is coming to a close here, as I said, it would pick up in this episode. But something I've been wondering is how the hell did Kylie see the ghost and befriend it?
Talk to her, okay?
Because that ghost is not really friendly. And why hasn't it killed Kylie yet? Is it just using Kylie as a vessel? Or is it Kylie actually somehow having an influence on the ghost? Because I think that ghost, and that Kylie's friend Takako, is the ghost.
As if she trusts me enough for that.
Doesn't the fact that she approached you first about this, instead of me, already say a lot?
A different kind of trust, granted implicitly and never spoken, sometimes too big, too fragile to last. He falls silent for a long moment as he turns it over in his head. As he turns it over in his mind. In the end, all he managed to offer is a small nod before he departs, and a promise to, at least, listen to her. Without the teasing or the jibes. A favor for me and the least he could do for her. This is as much as I can do for him as well, until I've understood what's happening myself. Tonight, hopefully, where this all started, will provide the answer I'm looking for. Oh, very angry. Both of them. Isabella and Ashton arrived at Salem Well, having an argument about the missing BRC employee's investigation. Annoyed by the noise, Rebecca interfered and, in the end, asked Ashton to keep an open mind. Here we go. Now we are getting to the housewarming party. Ooh. Except the whole thing's off to a bad start, and all of a sudden, whatever Isabella claims the dwelling in this mansion becomes the least of my concerns. But that is actually where I'm going to cut off for today's episode. It's a little bit shorter, but if I don't cut off here, it's going to be an extremely long episode, and I can't deal with that. I will not deal with that. So, if you want to see the rest of this story, you have to come back in the future. And if you want to watch anything else I've been playing in the meantime, you can find the videos at the bottom of the screen. And remember, just because you're not the main character doesn't mean you're not important. Goodbye, everyone.